Hi there. We are on day 273 of our Through the Bible in a Year. This is a red letter day, all right? This is the last book of the Old Testament. Tomorrow we will start the New Testament and start hearing about Jesus. And I've been looking forward to that. 273 days it took us to get through the Old Testament, including today. So let's jump over there. We're reading about Malachi today, okay? And he wrote this about 400 BC or so. This is the last one, and there's no other prophets before Jesus comes along. It's about 400 years, we know that. Right after Nehemiah had either left for a trip, right? And this was to Judah, and the Judeans were worshiping in Jerusalem, and they weren't doing a very good job of it. So God let them know, right? And there's some important lessons in here. So let's begin. Let's finish the Old Testament. Okay. The Lord's love for Israel. An oracle, the word of the Lord to Israel through Malachi. Okay, and there's a note. My messenger is what that means. I have loved you, says the Lord. But you ask, how have you loved us? Wasn't Esau Jacob's brother? This is the Lord's declaration. And we're going to have those again. Even so, I loved Jacob, but I hated Esau. I turned his mountains into a wasteland and gave his inheritance to the desert jackals. Though Edom says, we have been devastated, but we will rebuild the ruins, the Lord of hosts says. They may build, but I will demolish. They will be called the wicked country of the people the Lord has cursed forever. Your own eyes will see this, and you yourselves will say the Lord is great, even beyond the borders of Israel. Hey, disobedience of the priests. A son honors his father, and a servant his master. But if I am a father, where is my honor? If I am a master, where is your fear of me? Says Yahweh of hosts to you priests who despise my name. You'd say this about some people today, right? About some pastors. Yet you ask, how have we despised your name? By presenting defiled food on my altar. How have we defiled you, you ask? When you say the Lord's table is contemptible. When you present a blind animal for sacrifice, is it not wrong? When you present a lame or sick animal, is it not wrong? Bring it to your governor. Would he be pleased with you or show you favor? Ask the Lord of hosts. And now ask God's favor. Will he be gracious to us, since this has come from your hands? Will he show you any of you favor, says the Lord of hosts? I wish one of you would shut the temple doors so you would no longer kindle a useless fire on my altar. I am not pleased with you, says the Lord of hosts, and I will accept no offering from your hands. Right? We're supposed to bring the very best of everything, okay? Your very first and best. They were giving him junk. Do we do that today? Yeah. Give him our second best? All right. For my name will be great among the nations from the rising of the sun to its setting. Incense and pure offerings will be presented in my name in every place, because my name will be great among the nations, says Yahweh of hosts. What's that little note there? It's great. But you are profaning it when you say the Lord's table is defiled and its product, its food is contemptible. You say, look, what a nuisance, and you scorn it, says the Lord of hosts. You bring stolen, lame, or sick animals. You bring this as an offering. Am I to accept that from your hands, says the Lord? Asks the Lord. The deceiver is cursed, who has an acceptable male in his flock and makes a vow but sacrifices the defective animal to the Lord. For I am a great king, says Yahweh of hosts, and my name will be feared among the nations. Hey, hey, chapter 2. Warning to the priests. Therefore, this decree is for you, priests. If you don't listen and if you don't take it to heart to honor my name, says Yahweh of hosts, I will send a curse among you, and I will curse your blessings. In fact, I have already begun to curse them because you are not taking it to heart. Now, look, I'm going to rebuke your descendants, and I will spread animal waste over your faces. Okay. The waste from your festival sacrifices, and you will be taken away with it. Then you will know that I sent you this decree, so my covenant with Levi may continue, says the Lord of hosts. My covenant with him was one of life and peace, and I gave gaze to him. It called for reverence, and he revered me and stood in awe of my name. True instruction was in his mouth, and nothing was wrong was found on his lips. He walked with me in peace and fairness, and turned many from sin. For the lips of a priest should guard knowledge, and people should seek instruction from his mouth, because he is the messenger of the Lord of hosts. You got that, priests and pastors? You, on the other hand, have turned from the way. You have caused many to stumble by your instruction. You have violated the covenant of Levi, says the Lord of hosts. So I, in turn, have made you despised and humiliated before all the people, because you are not keeping my ways, but are showing partiality in your instruction. Wow. Somebody should write this letter today, huh? Judah's marital unfaithfulness. Don't all of us have one father? Didn't one God create us? Why then do we act treacherously against one another, profaning the covenant of our fathers? Judah has acted treacherously, and a detestable thing has been done in Israel and in Jerusalem. For Judah has profaned the Lord's sanctuary, which he loves, and has married the daughter of a foreign god. To the man who does this, may the Lord cut off any descendants from the tents of Jacob, even if they present an offering to the Lord of hosts. Wow. And this is another thing you do. You cover the Lord's altar with tears, with weeping and groaning, because he no longer respects your offerings or receives them gladly from your hands. Yet you ask, for what reason? Because the Lord has been a witness between you and the wife of your youth. You have acted treacherously against her, though she was your marriage partner and your wife by covenant. Didn't the one God make us with a remnant of his life breath? He did. And what does the one seek? A godly offspring. So watch yourselves carefully and do not act treacherously against the wife of your youth. You got that? If he hates and divorces his wife, says the Lord God of Israel, he covers his garment with injustice, says the Lord of hosts. Therefore watch yourselves carefully and do not act treacherously. Judgment at the Lord's coming. You have wearied the Lord with your words, yet you ask how we wearied him. When you say everyone who does what is evil is good in the Lord's sight, and he is pleased with them, or where is the God of justice? See, I am going to send my messenger, and he will clear the way before me. Then the Lord you seek will suddenly come to his temple, the messenger of the covenant you desire. See, he is coming, says the Lord of hosts. But who can endure the day of his coming, and who will be able to stand when he appears? For he would be like a refiner's fire and like cleansing lye. He's talking about Jesus here, right? He'll be like a refiner and a purifier of silver. He will purify the sons of Levi and refine them like gold and silver. Then they will present offerings to the Lord in righteousness, and the offerings of Judah and Jerusalem will please the Lord, as in days of old and years gone by. Okay. I will come to you in judgment, and I will be ready to witness against sorcerers and adulterers, against those who swear falsely, against those who oppress the widow and the fatherless and cheat the wage earner, and against those who deny justice to the foreigner. They do not fear me, says the Lord of hosts, because I, Yahweh, have not changed. You descendants from Jacob have not been destroyed. Okay, robbing God. This is an important one, right? Something we need to learn today. Since the days of your fathers you have turned from my statutes and you have not kept them, return to me and I will return to you, says the Lord of hosts. But you ask, how can we return? Will a man rob God? Yet you are robbing me. You ask, how do we rob you? By not making the payments of the tenth of the contributions. You are suffering under a curse, yet you, the whole nation, are still robbing me. You got that? Pay your tithes, tenth of everything. Okay? Bring the full tenth into the storehouse, so that there may be food in my house. Test me in this way, says the Lord of hosts. Okay, now this is very important. Test me, says the Lord of hosts. See if I will not open the floodgates of heaven and pour out a blessing for you without measure. Okay, that's right here. 10. And I wish you could highlight stuff, 3, Malachi 3:10. Take that to heart and don't forget it, right? Bring your whole tithe in. Bring the full tenth into the storehouse, so that there may be food in my house. test me in this way. He said, test me. This is the only place in the Bible where God literally says, test me. Basically saying, I dare you, right? Test me in this way, says the Lord of hosts. See if I will not open the floodgates of heaven and pour out a blessing for you without measure. Okay. If you bring in your first 10%, the first thing, God will bless you and pour out a blessing without measure. You will get it back with interest every time. Okay. I have found this to be true all my life. When I stop giving, I start struggling. When I give to the Lord first, I always have more than enough. It's never proven not to be true, because he says, test me in this. Okay. I will rebuke the devourer for you, so that it will not ruin the produce of your land, and your vine and your field will not fail to produce fruit, says the Lord of hosts. Then all the nations will consider you fortunate, for you will be a delightful land, says the Lord of hosts. The righteous and the wicked. Your words against me are harsh, says the Lord. Yet you ask, why have we spoken against you? You have said it is useless to serve God. What have we gained by keeping his requirements and walking mournfully before the Lord of hosts? So now we consider the arrogant to be fortunate. Not only do those who commit wickedness prosper, they even test God and escape. At that time, those who feared the Lord spoke to one another. They took notice and listened, so a book of remembrance was written before him, for those who feared Yahweh and had high regard for his name. They will be mine, says the Lord of hosts, a special possession on the day I am preparing. The day I'm preparing. You got that? I will have compassion on them as a man has compassion on his son who serves him. So you will again see the difference between the righteous and the wicked, between the one who serves God and the one who does not serve him, right? Right? For the day I am preparing. Did you get that? The day of the Lord, chapter 4, and this is the last part. Indeed, the day is coming, burning like a furnace, when all the arrogant and everyone who commits wickedness will become stubble. The coming day will consume them, says the Lord of hosts, not leaving them root or branches. But for you who fear my name, the Son of Righteousness will rise, Son, S-U-N, will rise with healing in its wings, and you will go out and playfully jump like calves from the stall. You will trample the wicked, for there will be ashes under the soles of your feet on the day I am preparing, says the Lord of hosts. Final warning. There you go. Remember the instructions of Moses, my servant, the statutes and ordinances I commanded him at Horeb for all Israel. Look, I'm going to send you Elijah the prophet before the great and awesome day of the Lord comes. And he will turn the hearts of fathers to their children and the hearts of children to their fathers. Otherwise, I will come and strike the land with a curse. Okay. So that's the end. That's the Old Testament, the whole thing, right? You remember this part here. Look, I'm going to send you Elijah the prophet before the great and awesome day of the Lord comes. Okay. Now, this could be Jesus coming, because his apostles asked him at one point, was John the Baptist Elijah? And Jesus said, if you want to believe that, you can. Okay. Didn't say yes, didn't say no. Said, if you want to believe that, you can. Right? Because it's also thought that Elijah will return during the tribulation for the second coming of Christ. Okay? But remember, this was written before Jesus even came on the scene, 350 to 400 years before Jesus came along the scene. So, could be either way. But there you go. That is the Old Testament in its completion. Feels good, huh, to finish the entire Old Testament. I've been a Christian a long time, and I don't think I've ever read the Old Testament from cover to cover. I've studied lots of it in different places, but cover to cover. Okay, and tomorrow we're starting Luke chapter 1. Okay. And it's not going to get to Jesus for a while. This is going to be, chronological in the order which its stories and events occurred. So they're going to follow the story, and they're going to jump all over the Gospels to get the same story. And it should be interesting because they're going to get all the witnesses' accounts together for one story. And I'm looking forward to it. So it's going to be Luke, and then Matthew, and then Matthew 2, 3, for John 2 and 4. Not 1 yet. Okay. Mark. So yeah, we'll be jumping all around the Gospels here for the first part of it. But that's exciting, right? So there you go. We have finished the Old Testament. Right. Mark your calendars. Like I said, this is a red letter day. Remember, Malachi is very important, okay, about tithing. The only place the Lord said, test me in this. Give your first, the tenth, the best you have, and see if I don't overflow your storage houses with blessings, okay? And I have found that to be true. Whenever I'm tithing, I always have enough. I always have more than enough. Even though it seems like, again, I can't afford this. You struggle whenever you don't, but whenever you tithe, if you test the Lord, he will return it, right? With interest every time. Remember that. So there you go. That's day 273. Tomorrow we start the New Testament, a whole new section. But today we have finished the Old Testament. So very exciting. So, but until tomorrow, we'll start the New Testament. So see you then. Catch up on anything I missed. You want to say you got the whole Bible in a year and the whole Old Testament, right? So we'll see you tomorrow.